All right, so this is a reteaching of Chapter 3, Priority Standard number 1, which is solving systems of equations. Okay, so the first way that we are going to solve is by graphing, using our graphing calculator. So we're going to be looking for the intersection where the lines cross or meet. So we're going to go ahead and solve number 1 first. So if I bring up my graphing calculator, I'm going to type both of those equations into my calculator. So I'm going to go to my y equals, and when I touch that button, it turns red. I'm going to go ahead and type in my 2/3 x minus 3. So I go to math, arrow to the left to get my fraction, and then I have 2/3 x minus 3. And then I'm going to arrow down to y2, and I'm going to put my negative, make sure you use the negative button, x plus 2. Okay, I'm going to make sure my window is my standard window by going to zoom, number 6, and then I can see the graph. So my point of intersection where the red and the blue line meet is what I need to find. So I'm going to go second trace, and I want to use number 5, which is intersect. Then I'm going to push enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And my point of intersection is 3, -1. So that is the solution for this system. So I'm going to go ahead and put 3, -1 as my solution for that system. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and solve by substitution. So that's the next method. Okay, so to solve by substitution, sometimes we're lucky enough that we already have one of the variables alone. But that is the first thing that we need to do, is get one of the variables to be by itself. For this first problem, you can see that y is already by itself. So then I'm going to take x minus 1, and I'm going to plug it in right there where there's a y in the other equation. So right there. So I'm going to have 2x from the first equation minus 3, and then right there where that y used to be, I'm going to put x minus 1, and then I still have equal the -1. So right where this y was, right here, I put x minus 1. So I substitute that in. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to distribute that -3. So I still have 2x, but now I have minus 3x plus 3 equals -1. Okay, I'm going to combine these like terms, which gives me -x plus 3 equals -1. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and subtract 3 from both sides. And I'll go up here so I have some space. So now I have -x equals -4. And of course, I have to divide by a -1 so that x is now a positive x. So then -4 divided by -1 is 4. So I have found the x, but now I need to find my y. Well, this equation that we were given right there is a perfect equation to use to find y. So now I have y equals x, which we found to be 4, minus 1. And so I know that y is 3. So my ordered pair answer for this one would be 4, 3. And that is what I would have as an answer for that one. Okay, so on the next substitution problem, we don't have a variable that's already by itself. So when I look at the 4 variables, which would be this x, this y, this x, and that y, I want to look for the variable that doesn't have a number in front of it, that has a 1 in front of it. That happens to be this x right here. So I'm going to solve to get that x by itself. So I'm going to add 2y to each side. So that gives me x equals 11 plus 2y. Then I'm going to take what I got here for x, and I'm going to take that, I'm going to plug that into the other equation where there's an x. So now I have -7, right where that x was. I'm putting 11 plus 2y. And then I have minus 2y equals -13. So right here where there was an x, I went ahead and put in what I had found x to be from the other equation. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and distribute. So I have -77 minus 14y minus 2y equals -13. Okay, I'm running out of room a little bit here, so I'm going to move this up just a little. Okay, and so now I'm going to combine my like terms. So I have a negative 14 minus 2y, so negative 77 minus 16y equals negative 13. Then I'm going to add 77 to both sides. So if I take negative 13 plus 77, I get 64. Screen to move for me here. So now I have negative 16y equals a positive 64, and I'm going to divide both sides by negative 16. That gives me a y value of negative 4. And then up here, if you remember, we have a nice equation to use to help us find x. So I'm going to go ahead and do that up here. Okay, so I'm going to have x equals 11 plus 2 times the y value we found down here, which was negative 4. So x will equal 11 minus 8, which gives me 3. Okay, so that will separate that a little bit there. So my answer for this one would be that ordered pair 3, negative 4. So that is substitution. The third method that we learned is elimination. So we can see elimination is getting rid of one of the letters. So what I want is for either x or y, the numbers in front of them to be the same but have one positive and one negative. So here it would be easiest in this first example, since I already have a minus 2y, it'd be nice if this one right here could go ahead and have a 2 in front of it. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to end up multiplying that entire first equation by 2. So I'm going to take 2 times 2x plus y, and I don't want that parentheses, I'm sorry, okay, equals 5. So I'm going to take 2 times everything. So for that first equation, I get 4x plus 2y equals 10. I still have the second equation, 3x minus 2y equals 4. But now you can see for the y values, one's a positive 2 and one's a negative 2. So when I add those together, they will be eliminated. Now 4x plus 3x is 7x. The y's are eliminated, and over here I have 14. So then I'm just going to divide each side by 7 so that x is 2. So now I also need to find y. So I'm going to pick an equation from up above to plug it back in. So I'm going to just use the top one. So I'm going to have 2 times 2 plus y equals 5. So all I did is I just went ahead and plugged in this x that we got for this x up here. Okay, so then I have 4 plus y equals 5. And when I subtract 4 from each side, y is 1. So my ordered pair answered would be 2, 1. All right, so for the second problem here with elimination, when we look at the x's, we have a 5 and a 3. So those are not the same number but opposite. And when I look at the other one, I have a negative 2 and an 8. Those are not the same but opposite. But I would be able to make that happen if I multiplied this entire first equation by 4. Okay, if I do that, I end up with 20x minus 8y equals negative 60. And I'm going to leave the second equation alone. And I don't have to do anything with the second equation because the y's right now are the same 8, but one's plus and one's minus. So I'm going to go ahead and add. So I have 23x, the y's are eliminated, equals, so I'm going to take negative 60, and I'm going to add 37, which gives me negative 23, and if to divide both sides by 23, x is negative 1. So now I just need to pick one of those equations up there to plug x back into so I can find y. So I'm going to just pick the top one. So I'm going to have 5 times negative 1 minus 2y equals negative 15. So I have negative 5 minus 2y equals negative 15. I'm going to add 5 to each side. So I have negative 2y equals negative 10. Divide both sides by negative 2. So y is 5. So my ordered pair for this is going to be negative 1, 5. And that would be my final answer. So those are our 3 ways of solving a system: graphing, substitution, and elimination. And this should help you with Chapter 3, Priority Standard number 1.